yeah, we'll just jump into it. So yeah, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to chat, and it's a great opportunity to get to know you more and your work here for the Beltline Urban Murals Project Festival. So yeah, we'll just go down the row if you want to introduce yourself.
So my name is Maxili, and my artist name is Sourcil. I'm a Montreal-based artist. Mainly that.
I'm Alex Kwong, and I'm a Calgary-based artist, and I focus mostly on portraits, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. My name is Ankone. I'm French, from France. There is 10 years I am in Montreal. What else? I'm a public artist, and yeah, I'm doing big mural like all these crazy artists.
My name is Elena. I'm Calgary. I've been here for 11 years, originally from Eastern Europe, Moldova, and I've been painting all my life, and I have passion for portraiture and figurative art.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I'm curious to learn a little bit more about the specific work that you're going to be doing for BUMP. If you want to give us a bit of background and context and where it's located. Alex, I might pick on you first because you're pretty much wrapped up at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah, I finished last week or something. Yeah, so I painted on the side of Mona Lisa Art Supplies. I painted another Calgary artist, Simone Saunders, and she's a fiber artist, so I painted her with her textile self-portrait. And yeah, it was just a cool opportunity to use the platform to, shine light on another local artist.
Great, thank you. Elena, what about you?
My mural called Mother Nature, and I always was a big fan of nature. I love animals, birds, and at home I have a huge plant collection, 150 houseplants. And this winter was tough in many ways, and not only COVID. And I found every time I was depressed or stressed, I would take care of my plants, and I felt happier, better. I felt like I'm healing. So I painted a self-portrait with me and wings on my back made out of those plants, talking to my birds. And for the bump, I decided to change it a bit and paint Mother Nature. So she has huge wings on her back. She's talking to the birds. And I hope everyone who sees it will feel this healing power that it doesn't matter what happened, we still have our nature. It's beautiful, it's healing.
Awesome, thank you.
I agree. I swing by his wall, her wall, sorry, and yeah, it's crazy, amazing, colorful, really beautiful and shining. Yes.
Nice. Thank you. And what about your work?
Yeah, it's a little bit related to Elena works because nature is one thing very important in my work right now. I have a theme for the years called Secret Garden, and everything I'm doing, I'm trying to integrate this theme on my work. So this one is more related to the COVID, and not COVID exactly, but the lockdown and the fact that pollution, human activity reduce a lot, then the nature come over and can breathe a little bit more and can express. And this is exactly what's the thing I was painting on my wall. Two ladies representing joy and fertility. And yes, big flower over graphic things representing the city, architecture, or all the human activity. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. And what about you, Maxine?
Yeah. So me, I painted on the Hotel Arts on First Street and 12th Avenue. So I'm mainly interested by like the fact that people have a tendency to gather, but I like to bring my visual really more into a sci-fi way. So I mainly depict like a cartoonist monster and robot, and that could reflect a bit the idea of multiculturalism. And it was interesting because on the parking lot where I paint, there's like a kind of a history of people going there to seek for work. So they go there randomly and hope having like a one-day job and by people come and pick them up. So it's like also that parking lot have that aspect of like people going in a space and gather, and so that's mainly that.
That's great. You bring up a really interesting point about, how murals, as we all know, are in the built space or in the built environment. And so I'm curious to know from everyone kind of how that factors into your work. Do you take a look at the wall and kind of figure out how that's going to fit with the overall, landscape or architecture, or do you just kind of do the work and hope it fits? Actually, maybe we'll stick with you because you're kind of
sure.
Yeah.
Well, me, I have like a bit my trademark, let's say. So I usually do like it's accumulation of character. So my work a bit like a tapestry or a pattern, a bit repetitive. So about the wall, the shape for me doesn't really matter because it's like I won't interrupt my design for it. So it's just like working as a tapestry over the wall. So
nice. And then what about you?
Yeah, well, for me, I choose nature again because we have a wonderful city, but in the heart of the city, it's buildings, not much nature. So I think it's wonderful to have something, alive.
And Alex, your work, again, kind of based in portraiture, might be a little bit different in there. So yeah, how do you approach that kind of the built landscape versus what you're bringing forward with your work?
I think in some projects, like you see the surrounding area and something jumps out at you and you know to sort of run with that right away. But if it doesn't, then I also don't worry about it too much. With Simone's portrait, it worked out really nicely that, it was on the side of Mona Lisa. Turned out that the photograph I used from the photo shoot that I did with Simone sort of had a similar composition to the Mona Lisa, which I noticed like once I was sort of looking at the space, I saw the sign and, it sort of brought it to the surface there for me. So that was just like a happy accident there. But yeah, for the most part, like I don't really worry about it too much because I feel like it's art and it's there and it's what it's there for, essentially.
Nice. No, Kwong, what about you?
We used to, because I'm part of a collective in Montreal, and we really work on the scale of the mural. So we do not adapt our work, we adapt at the wall. So most of the time, and I was super happy to do a parking lot. That's something very useful, but most of the time the architecture is not really well. It's just concrete. And especially right now, it's in front of two main bars, like National and Craft, and the people are so happy. It's kind of a window on something else, and they are just, wow, are you painting the rest of the wall? And I said, I would like, but I think, I don't know, yes.
Nice. And Alex, you kind of brought up an interesting point there about, the art being the art, and that's what it's there for. And so I'm wondering how you kind of approach the public when you're kind of planning out your art as well. Kind of similar to the previous question in that, is your approach just to kind of plan it out and you don't necessarily worry about too much what the public might think, or is that also kind of part of your planning as well when you're thinking about the work?
Well, I think, like Calgary's history in terms of the public accepting the art here is no secret that there's always people that are going to take it one way and other people are going to take it another way. And when I first started, like that affected me a little bit more. But I've had people shout at me and like, oh, why are you painting this? And whatever. But for the most part, the majority of people are just happy to see something painted and something that sort of removes them from the drab, gray urban landscape, I guess. But yeah, if you're always thinking about like the public in that realm, then you're never gonna get anything painted.
I think it could also maybe when it's too much interfere. You know?
Yeah.
But for me, I think I agree on that point too. I mean, if you're doing a subject that is not offensive, or you need to be conscious of your surrounding. But most of the time, I prefer it's a bit something I kind of promise myself to always do something I love, and I don't really like having too much order specifications, so I prefer if I have all my freedom for creation. But for sure, if I'm doing 60 characters, I'll be open if someone say, hey, could you on the wall add this type of character? So I'm a bit open. Or maybe if you have a color palette you prefer, cold color, hot colors, I'm a bit open, but most of the time I prefer if there's no third party trying to interfere in the design too much.
Yeah, makes sense. Ankone, what about you?
Yeah. There was a study made about the children, for example. When they start going at school, it's really colorful. There is drawing everywhere. And the more and more we grow up, the more and more it's gray, black, white, and square. So I'm super happy to change that a little bit in a city, because all the building, the architecture is really square, gray. So putting some color on the building, all the time I have only good feedback about the public. You know, they say we want more color in the city, we want more things like that. They don't really block on the aspect of the mural. They just want something that maybe called to their child out or something like that.
I got lucky. I never had negative feedback. It's always people are so supportive. I was telling my friend, bring food, ask if I need something. They want to be part of it. They just by supporting artists, I guess. So it's amazing, and it always was a great feedback. And sometimes people call police on you, so they can't figure out if you're. But that's it. Nice. I mean, when police comes, they see it's bump. It's.
Yeah, you don't get in too much trouble. Again, kind of in the realm of, obviously public art being public, I'm wondering if that kind of brings an extra level of vulnerability to your work. And because, when you go to a gallery or when folks kind of seek you out your portfolio online, there's kind of a barrier to entry, so to speak. But when it's on the street, it's on the street, and whoever is going to see it will see it. So I'm wondering if that brings any sense of vulnerability to your practice. Elena, I might start with you, because like you said, you adapted the mural from the self-portrait, and so I'm wondering if that kind of felt different.
Many people thought I painted myself, and I said it's not a point, but it was based on that. I don't feel vulnerable. So I've been painting in public for many years in a row. I would sketch, when I moved to Canada, I was amazed to see people all over the world, and I was just sitting everywhere in public places sketching portraits, and it probably helped me, and I painted in public, so it's all good.
Nice. Maxine, what about you?
Well, about vulnerability, let's say if being alone on a skyjack and most of the people coming over are really nice. So no, I don't feel in danger or something. But I believe since we create in an outdoor zone, maybe the art piece sometimes could be more vulnerable to the weather, or even in Montreal there's a lot of graffiti graphers, so sometimes they could cross over the mural. So sure, you have other people could, let's say, act on the wall, but as an artist by myself, I don't feel really vulnerable to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I really well understand the question or.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, just to kind of phrase it differently. So again, if someone were to see your art in a gallery, there's kind of a bit of a barrier to entry. But with public art, it's public, and anyone whether they want to see it or not, will see it. And so if they're, I guess the question is, do you feel any vulnerability as an artist, knowing that, you know, it is so public like
that's
that?
A good, yeah. That's a good question, because the project before Bump was painting a silo on Ontario, and the theme of my silo was the vulnerability, because for a farmer, for example, he's really under the weather. So if something is bad, like too much rain, too much sun, so I had to express something like that, and I think I was going in a little bit deeper in me to find my vulnerability. And when I go there, I think I can relate to others. So for me, it's really important to express these kind of things the best you can, for sure. But yeah, for me, painting is talking to others, talking to me and talking to others. It's kind of a cycle like that, and I like it. Sometimes I made not a beautiful artwork, but the fact that I recognize it, the people are really supportive and say, no, it's okay, we love it and whatever. So yeah, nice. I want to be more vulnerable, because as a man, sometimes I'm not relating enough to my emotions. And this is very important to be in this situation more and more. Nice.
Yes. Yeah, I think in terms of like a lot of, you know, like so when you're painting murals and stuff, you've gone through so many, you jump through a lot of hoops of getting approved and all that, and there's the regulations, so it holds back some of that sort of openness for the vulnerability. So I've never really felt vulnerable painting in the public. I've felt vulnerable when people have just come to my house and opened my sketchbook, and I'm like, oh, no, don't look at that. You know, but I think in terms of like public to like gallery, I think that opens up a lot more for vulnerability, because you're doing stuff that nobody would ever let you paint on a wall potentially, right? And then they see maybe some of like the weirder things about yourself.
So we shouldn't go to your house and just touch all your sketchbooks, is what I'm hearing.
I don't know if any guys want to do that.
It's an invitation, yes, I like that.
Yeah, totally. So Bump is in its 4th year now, and it's been an incredible project to bring so much art into kind of a pretty concentrated neighborhood. And so I'm wondering how you feel in your own practice and as your practice as a public artist has kind of evolved, what can public art do to be a tool for community building? And how does public art potentially build community? Or not, whatever you think there. Alex, I might start with you.
I think with just beautifying the area, even if it's just purely for the beautification of the area, it brings people out to engage with the area as well, engage with other people in the area. So I think it is powerful in that way. If the subject matter is provoking in any way, then that prompts those conversations as well. So yeah, I think it's the walls are there. It's a simple way to just take advantage of it and facilitate all of that.
I think also a project like this could bring like the aspect of a safer place. Like, let's say it's a really dark alley where people could maybe feel a bit unsafe, so it could help improve some neighborhoods like that. And also it also happened to me one day. I painted a mural on a place where like people were always dumping their garbage over there, and when I did the mural after, like, it was less people were less less tendency to do that. So I think it could improve like a neighbor or a city in many different ways. And also, subject matter, it could bring question, and so it depends of each approach.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what I found when I moved to Calgary 11 years ago, I found we don't have enough murals, we don't have enough street art here, and what happened to me, I offered a free mural, large outdoor mural, to the school where my son was. And the Calgary Board of Education said, we're afraid you will attract vandals, or school said they were afraid of that something will happen to stucco. I don't know. That was my biggest shock, because we need art. We need and free art for kids. Like, they would go to the school, they would be proud that school has a beautiful, colorful mural. So things are changing, and I'm so grateful for BUMP. And I've been 3 years in a row. I've been part of BUMP because I was assisting other artists, and it's just amazing. Like, my hope other communities will start doing the same, because Beltline looks amazing.
Yeah, I agree with all the intervenants. I think it's very important to bring arts for people. As I said the studio before, we will lose a little bit the contact with our inner child. So it's very, very important, and it changed for sure the area where we paint. And there is many examples. I have no bad example right now, except exactly the tag, all this sort of this expression. Sorry, but it's also bad understanding. For sure, the politics want a clean city for the citizen. They want more people voting for them, so they try to clean everything. So, but it's not working. That's why the graffiti exists. It's a little bit another culture, or contre-culture. I don't know how to say that. Yes, and well, there is. There is also maybe a lack of education about arts that make people a little bit in the cliché. So more arts can maybe open more mind to being related to to all the expression.
Yeah, I wanted to add also something like you said a bit. Like, I feel those projects also could bring a lot of culture in a city, and then create like other event around all that. So it bring like a lot of richness and activity. Like, let's say in Montreal, Mural Festival have win like the tourism like prize. So it brings also tourism, and things happen around those kind of intervention.
Yes, for me it's kind of an international movement. So you can go in every city now, and there is street art or public art. There is, so it's kind of a goal for holidays now.
Nice. Yeah.
And yeah, maybe meeting some people. For me, BUMP and all the festival I go through, always meeting some other crazy artists, amazing artists. It's something that's really inspired me a lot. So I imagine that for me. So maybe for the people, it could be something that changed their everyday life or something. Yeah.
I really appreciated what you said, Maxili, about the potential for tourism and gathering and bringing people together, which I on my part totally agree with as well. It's interesting in Calgary, and I don't want to turn this too negative, but kind of like you said, Alex, we have had an interesting history with public art, and without naming specific projects, sometimes big sculptural pieces can be a bit more challenging for the public to accept than something like these murals. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, what is it about murals that might be a little bit more, let's say, palatable to the public rather than these kind of larger scale sculptures? I'll start picking on the locals first, but Alex, if you want to maybe try to take that one on.
I think, even just the price point of a mural, to get that done is sort of way easier to just swallow than some of these sculptures, right? The space is already there,
Right.
So I think that's, it definitely makes it easy, But even, I think with some of the the other sculptures and some of the other things that have really enraged some of the people in Calgary, it's sort of wafted over into some murals and stuff, because I've had some people respond to like my murals and they're like, why are we paying for this stuff? We don't have this yet. But I don't think they don't see the value in it, and the value isn't something that everybody's going to notice right away. It's sort of like how it builds a community, builds culture, and like all that stuff, and even just gets some of the individuals in the community to aspire to, oh, this guy's doing this, maybe I should go pursue what I like doing. And then, then you look back years later and you're like, oh, wow, okay, like we actually built something there, and it all just sort of came out of this initiative, right? So yeah, I would say murals are just a quick, easy, readily available way to achieve that.
Elena?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood the question.
That's okay.
Yeah, me neither.
That's okay. So, no, me neither. That's all good. So again, in Calgary, there have been some kind of controversies around certain pieces of public art, mainly when it comes to kind of more sculptural pieces in the city. But people have been relatively positive about bump and murals. So I'm wondering what, in your opinion, might make the public kind of more warm or more happy about murals versus these kind of sculptural pieces or other forms of public art.
Okay.
I can go if you want.
Yeah.
I think like, there's always gonna be mad people. Not everybody can like appreciate everything, and you're never gonna like. It's not everyone gonna like your work, But so I think, and also it's something, as you say earlier, Hank, art, it needs, you need a bit to being more educated about it, right, to appreciate it in a way. So, and then you understand that maybe like there's like good point of those kind of project. So I think it's just maybe lack of education on the sense like that people are mad about an art piece or something, and you need to understand that it might not please you but could please other people. So we are all different and we need to accept that.
That's right. I think maybe some explanation in front of the sculpture or the public arts could be a good things. No, with all the technology, we can have reality augmented or something like that. So we can have information. So maybe there is something to find, like the people can, in a quick way, just have a few information. It reminds me when I was in school, having some teaching about arts and the history of arts. It's so interesting to understand, right, why Picasso become Picasso and why different movements like that become that.
And also it makes me remind what you said. There's a place in Colorado they record us, so I think they're gonna do like to scan the thing, and then people can hear the artist talk about their piece, for example. So it brings it an interactive aspect to it, maybe a bit more.
Exactly. Yeah. This is maybe something that the artist had to bring to the public art or the contemporary arts, just to help the public to better understand their way or their goal about. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would just agree with everyone. For me, art isn't so important. It's what defines us as humans, not like. And mural sculptures, yeah, we have to keep doing it. I know many people don't understand why we spend so much money on it, but yeah, with more education and with murals, it's bright color. It gets you like right away. I think that's why people like it better and more. And as Alex said, the price is pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's very important to understand. Yes, sometimes people say, they just use our taxes to pay that, and that's why maybe they are a little bit not very happy about that. But if we explain them where the money come from or few things, yeah, It's like me with my banker.
But most
When
of
you
the
explain
people
my
are
need-
happy about murals. I mean, it's really rare. Like people are
Yeah, mural. Yes, I
being
mean
unhappy
more,
about
yeah,
it. So
sure.
it's really accessible, you know, the fact that it's in public space, so it engage really quickly people. So most of the time people like it.
True.
I mean, unhappy people most do more noise, but unfortunately.
I remember in the street of Montreal, I was painting a front of a bar, and the guy come to me and he said, you know what? I marry a French girl to have the right to be not happy. It was so fun.
There you go. No, I think you teased out some important threads there. Not only about the education piece and kind of education in a 360 way, right? Sure. I think you said not only the education about how public art is funded, but then about the piece itself. So I appreciate that. And kind of to that angle, and kind of as we start to wind down, what do you think members of the public can do to continue to champion public art projects like the Beltline Urban Mural Project? What do you think individuals can continue to do to keep supporting it and to ensure that more projects like this can happen in the future? Whoever wants to.
I think they could promote it, speak about it. You know, education come with speaking about a subject, so maybe doing an event, I don't know.
Yes, collaboration could be nice too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we are all on different wall. We have sometimes the chance to chat together, but doing something together would be something a little bit different. Maybe the vulnerability come really strongly at this moment because what can I do with this kind of things or with these people? I don't know. So yeah, I like this
Mural
angle.
jam. I like that. Dexter, remember that for next year. Yeah.
I think if people speak and write about it, it could really help for like the city to see that people like that we should finance more, also. Or
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just showing general support, posting the photos, sharing them, talking about it, and just enjoying it, I guess, really.
Yeah, I think the same. Like I had overwhelming feedback on my mural, and I even had person started. She looked at it and she started crying. You know, when people see, when they get affected, when they share their feelings, and I guess it will help a lot. And when we artists will talk about it and explain what is it, and
Sometimes it could be really simple, and there is no lot of explanation, but just related to art or related to color. Well, yes, that's enough.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate learning more about your practice and all of the things that you had to say about, life and public art and murals. So as we start to wind down, if people want to learn more about you and your art, where can they go? Website, social media?
Sure, they could search for my Instagram, Sourcil1. Sourcil1, it's like O-N-E. Just search for Sourcil. I think you'll find it.
Yeah, and the same for me, just my Instagram, which is _Alex Kwong, and easier than my website to update, so
Yeah, the same Instagram, or there is also my website, and maybe there is a link on Bump on my work, so maybe it can help the people of the city.
Yeah, I have same Instagram, Facebook, ElenaBushan.ca or Bump, because they have all of us there tagged.
There you go. Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you to Bump, thank you to all these amazing
Yes.
artists and the people who helped me to be there, to select me. And yes, it was a challenge for me this time because my mural is very big, so I'm happy to succeed finally for that. Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, we are lucky to be here.